Every Friday, I'm sharing my Underdog pick'ems here on my channel. If you're interested in daily fantasy, stay tuned for all of my pick'em entries for this weekend. If you're not into daily fantasy, well, maybe after watching this video, you'll be more interested. For the second consecutive week, I was above 500 on my pick'em entries. In week 3, I went 14-11, bringing me to 23-19 on the season. Before I share my pick'em entries for this weekend's slate, make sure to get in on the action and win money this college football season with Underdog Fantasy. If you sign up using promo code Harris, they'll match your first deposit up to $500. That's right, up to $500 of free money that they're giving you just for free. You can choose anywhere from 2 to 5 players for your entry. They're having a promo this weekend where if you correctly pick the higher or lower of Tyreek Hill's yards, you're entered to win $10,000. You just gotta get it right, and you could be one of 10 people walking away with 10 grand. So if you'd like to make the college football season even more exciting and even win money in the process, make sure to sign up on Underdog Fantasy with promo code Harris for a 100% match on your first deposit up to $500. We have a lot more pick'em entries in this week's video, and once again, as you'll notice, there are a lot of hires. There's just so many that I like, and it makes the games that much more exciting. We're going to start with Caleb Williams once again, and I like his hire of 302.5 passing yards and 3.5 passing touchdowns. As an Arizona State alum, believe me when I tell you this, USC is absolutely going to obliterate ASU this weekend. They're currently favored by 35 points, and they're projected to score right around 50. Honestly, USC might be able to drop 50 points in the first half. I get Caleb Williams is probably only going to play a couple of quarters, so it is a little bit risky, but I wouldn't be surprised if Caleb Williams puts up these numbers midway through the second quarter. I'm pretty much going to keep doing these Washington players until I'm proven wrong. Michael Penix Jr. has been hitting every week, and I'm going to continue to ride this hot streak. His passing yards and passing touchdowns are set for 359.5 and 3.5. Like I've been saying all year, this is a guy that has a chance to throw for over 5,000 yards, and I don't see why he can't surpass these numbers once again this week. Plus, if Michael Penix Jr. is lighting up the stat sheet once again, both of his wide receivers should clear their marks with ease as well. Drake May proved me wrong last week as he essentially doubled what his projected yards was, so I'm back on his hype train, and we're going to go with higher on 316.5 passing and rushing yards. He struggled his first 2 games, but he broke out last week, and I think that's what's going to get him going this season. North Carolina should destroy Pittsburgh, and I think Drake May is going to be throwing and running all over them. Although the Clemson-Florida State game is going to be really exciting, the only player I'm actually going to go with in this game is Will Shipley and his total of 96.5 total yards. He's averaging about 94 yards a game, and I think Clemson is going to have to rely heavily on him in this contest. If they're trailing, he could rack up a lot of receptions for a lot of yards, or if they're winning, he could be getting a lot of carries. Dillon Gabriel is another player I like going higher on every week. This week at Cincinnati, his hire is 259.5 passing yards and 2.5 total touchdowns. This is expected to be a high-scoring game, but I think Cincinnati's actually going to keep it close, meaning Gabriel is going to have to keep throwing the ball. He's averaging more than 300 passing yards a game and is averaging a total of 4 touchdowns a game as well. Staying in this game, we're going to go to the other side with quarterback Emory Jones. He's been fantastic so far for Cincinnati this year, and I think these numbers are really solid for him. I like the hire of 221 passing yards and 23 rushing yards. Like I talked about, I think Cincinnati can hang around in this game, and if that's the case, Emory Jones is going to have to do whatever he can to guide them to a victory. Chandler Morris has been having a great season for TCU, and this has a chance to be his best game of the year. TCU is projected to score 35 points this week against SMU, so with that being the case, give me his 2 passing touchdowns and 316 total passing and rushing yards. Morris is averaging over 330 yards of total offense per game. And like I just talked about, TCU is projected to score 5 touchdowns in this game, so I definitely think Morris should be able to get at least 2 passing touchdowns. Ole Miss and Alabama is going to be a lot of fun, and let's start with Ole Miss. I like Jackson Dart to go higher than his 1.5 passing touchdown line. Dart has hit that number in 2 of 3 games this year. He only threw 1 passing touchdown last week, but that's because he rushed in 2 touchdowns. He had 7 games last season with at least 2 passing touchdowns. Ole Miss is a 7-point underdog, meaning they're going to have to be throwing the ball a lot, but I think Jackson Dart is going to have quite the performance, and I think he can easily throw just 2 touchdowns. Meanwhile, you look at the other quarterback, and I'm going to go with Jalen Milroe and his 266.5 passing and rushing yards. This is expected to be a high-scoring game, and I think Alabama is going to have to do a lot of scoring to keep up with Ole Miss. The last time we saw Jalen Milroe was against Texas, where he had 300 total yards against them. I think he's going to be running a lot, I think he's going to be throwing a lot, so only 266 yards seems like a pretty good steal. If I had to choose just one game to have a lot of action over, it would be the Colorado-Oregon game. This game has an over-under of 70.5 points, one of the highest marks we'll see in all of college football this season. So with an over-under being that high, that means there's a lot of scoring that's going to be expected. That means a lot of yards and a lot of touchdowns. I'm going to start with Colorado and quarterback Shedeur Sanders. His passing yards is currently at 335.5, and we gotta go higher. Colorado is a 21-point underdog, meaning they're expected to be trailing big all game, so he's going to have to keep throwing the ball. If that's the case, I like his 2 wide receivers as well, especially with Travis Hunter out. Xavier Weaver is currently at 94.5 yards, and Jimmy Horn Jr. is at 74.5 yards. Sanders is probably going to have to throw for 400 yards if Colorado wants any chance of winning this game, so if he throws for 400 yards, well, he's got to be throwing the ball to someone. Moving on to the other side, and give me all of Bo Nix in this game. Oregon's team total is set for 45 points, and Bo Nix should be lighting this defense up. So I like him to go higher on his 2.5 passing touchdowns and 312.5 passing yards. If Bo Nix is lighting up the stat sheet, then that should be going to his top wide receiver, Troy Franklin. He's had quite the season for the Ducks so far, and I like him to go higher than his 82.5 receiving yards. We'll show some running backs some love on this list, and we'll start with Louisville running back Jahar Jordan. I like his higher of 83.5 rushing yards. So far, he's rushed for 100 yards in every game this season, so I'm honestly just going to keep playing him until he doesn't surpass that number. Another running back we'll go to is Notre Dame running back Audric Estime. His current mark is set for 73.5 rushing yards. That seems crazy considering he's averaging 130 rushing yards a game this season. He's been one of the best running backs in all of college football so far, and I'm sure he's going to be a big part in this game, so we're definitely going to go higher. Then on the other side, we're going to go with Marvin Harrison Jr. having 6 receptions. He's the #1 wide receiver in all of college football, and if Ohio State wants any chance of pulling off this victory at Notre Dame, they're going to have to rely heavily on their top option. Going to the Penn State-Iowa game, we're going to start with Penn State quarterback Drew Aller and his 195 passing yards. The actual betting line is 204, so you're actually getting 9 yards of value here. He was horrific last week for Penn State, but he still threw for 210 yards on the road. Iowa currently is allowing 180 passing yards per game. Who knows, maybe Penn State's even playing from behind and Aller's going to have to throw the ball even more. Going to the other side is quarterback Cade McNamara, and I like him to go higher on his 14.5 completions. Iowa is a 14-point underdog, so they're expected to be playing from behind all game. He literally just needs about 4 completions a quarter, so that definitely seems doable. We're going to wrap up today's video with South Carolina quarterback Spencer Rattler. Although South Carolina has been disappointing this season, Rattler's been having a solid year, and I like him to go higher on his 271.5 passing yards. Mississippi State is allowing 277 passing yards a game. Meanwhile, Spencer Rattler is averaging 318 passing yards a game as well, so this one seems like a no-brainer. Well, those are all the pick'em entries that I like for this upcoming weekend. With so many great games, I know I couldn't get to every single one, but I'm sure there's a lot more entries I'll be playing this weekend as well. If you guys haven't done so yet, don't forget to download the Underdog Fantasy app and use promo code Harris for a 100% deposit match up to $500. Again, if you deposit $500 into your account, Underdog is going to give you $500 additional dollars of free money. You're doubling your money and making every single game that much more exciting. Again, that's promo code Harris, or you can find the link in the description below. Before you leave, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. I'm posting college football videos every day during the season, so make sure to subscribe if you're new to my channel. Also, don't forget to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that YouTube algorithm and helps share the video with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.